David Chen adjusted his neural interface headset for the third time in 10 minutes, sweat beading on his forehead, despite the climate-controlled atmosphere of the research station orbiting Kepler 442b. The Zephyrian delegation had arrived 3 days ago, and humanity's first formal contact with an advanced alien civilization wasn't going exactly as planned. The problem wasn't the universal translators; those worked perfectly. The problem was that humans had evolved certain involuntary responses that apparently didn't translate well across species. Mino Vasquez, the lead xenobiologist on the I team, glided past his workstation carrying a holographic display of atmospheric readings. David tried to focus on his quantum communication array diagnostics, but his eyes wandered despite his best efforts. Even in the standard issue research uniform, Mino moved with the kind of confidence that made her impossible to ignore. God, she's got the perfect... David, Mino's voice cut through his thoughts. The Zephyrian ambassador wants to review your communication protocols in 10 minutes. He nodded, grateful she couldn't read his mind. Or so he thought. The Zephyrians were remarkable beings, tall, crystalline entities that communicated through a combination of harmonic frequencies and electromagnetic pulses. Their leader, Ambassador Orcs, stood nearly 8 feet tall, its translucent form shifting through prismatic colors that seemed to reflect its emotional states. The human delegation shows promise. Quarix's translated voice resonated through the conference room's speakers. However, we detect unusual neural patterns from your species that concern us. Dr. Sarah Martinez, the expedition leader, leaned forward. What kind of patterns, Ambassador? Primitive reproductive impulses that seem to override logical thought processes. We question whether humanity possesses the mental discipline necessary for galactic citizenship. David's heart sank. The Zephyrians were evaluating humanity's worthiness to join the Galactic Council, the opportunity that could advance human civilization by millennia. If they failed this assessment... Perhaps, Quarix continued, its form shifting to an amber hue, we could observe these patterns more directly. We have developed technology to amplify and broadcast neural activity for research purposes. Before anyone could object, Quarix activated a device that resembled a crystalline tuning fork. Suddenly, David felt a strange tingling sensation in his neural interface. His thoughts felt exposed. Mino entered the room at that exact moment, tablet in hand, her hair catching the artificial sunlight from the viewport. David's eyes automatically tracked her movement, and despite every effort to maintain professional composure, one thought blazed through his mind with crystal clarity. Damn, Mino's got an absolutely perfect ass. The thought didn't just stay in his head. The Zephyrian device amplified it, broadcasting it through the room's communication system in full, mortifying detail. The silence that followed felt like it lasted an eternity. Dr. Martinez looked horrified. The junior researchers stared in shock. Quarix's form shifted through rapid color changes. What David would later learn indicated intense confusion. But Mino's response was what nobody expected. She burst into laughter. "You know what, David?" she said, grinning as she set down her tablet. "That's actually the most honest thing anyone said in this entire diplomatic mission." She turned to address Quarix directly. "Ambassador, you want to understand human neural patterns? Here's the thing about our species. We're not ashamed of being biological creatures. Yes, we notice physical attraction. Yes, our brains sometimes focus on reproduction even in inappropriate moments. But here's what makes us remarkable. We can acknowledge these impulses and transcend them." David watched in amazement as Mino launched into what would later be recorded as one of the most important speeches in human diplomatic history. You see David's embarrassment? That's his higher cognitive functions asserting control over base instincts. Despite his wandering thoughts, he's designed the most sophisticated quantum communication array in known space. His ability to find me attractive doesn't diminish his scientific brilliance, it enhances his humanity. She gestured around the room. Every human here battles internal conflicts between emotion and logic, between desire and duty. But that struggle doesn't weaken us. It's precisely what makes us creative, empathetic, and innovative. We don't achieve greatness despite our biological nature. We achieve it because we've learned to harness it. Quark's form shifted to deep purple. What David would learn indicated profound contemplation. Your David human experiences attraction, Quark said slowly, yet still produces exceptional work. This paradox. How do you explain it? It's not a paradox, Mino replied. It's integration. David can appreciate beauty, feel desire, experience, embarrassment, and still be a brilliant scientist. These aren't competing forces, they're complementary aspects of a fully realized consciousness. She looked directly at David, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Besides, Ambassador, he's not wrong about my ass. The room erupted in shocked laughter. Even Dr. Martinez cracked a smile. Quark's form began cycling through rapid color changes, a phenomenon the humans hadn't seen before. After several moments, the ambassador spoke. Fascinating. Your species integrates primitive impulses with advanced reasoning in ways we had not considered. This David human's inappropriate thought led to Mino human's demonstration of remarkable cognitive flexibility and social cohesion. The crystalline being seemed to grow brighter. We had assumed that elimination of base instincts was necessary for civilization. But your species suggests a different path. Transformation rather than suppression. This requires further study. 3 months later, humanity was officially welcomed into the Galactic Council. The Zephyrians specifically cited human, emotional logical integration as a unique contribution to galactic civilization. And David? He still thought Mino was incredibly attractive. The difference was, he was no longer embarrassed about it. In fact, it had become something of a running joke between them, one that ultimately led to their partnership both in the lab and in life. As Mino often said, sometimes the most embarrassing moments lead to the most extraordinary breakthroughs. The galaxy, it turned out, had a lot to learn from humanity's beautifully imperfect nature.